first advice is don't be afraid. Your first couple of pieces of content are probably gonna suck. I don't actually come from software engineering background. I studied to be a biologist or environmental scientist. Learning is not about memorization, which a lot of people get it wrong. Maybe I'm sure that some of your viewers will have. How much do they make from those books? When I started doing Udemy, I did not think of them primarily as a vehicle to potentially earning some income. And a very popular misconception about software engineers is that, I don't work in sales, I don't have to do any of that. Well, I've got bad news for you. Life is about selling. You have to convince your boss to give you a raise. You have to convince a potential recruitment manager interviewer to give you not to somebody else.
Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Top Mentor podcast. Today we have here Fiodar, which is a .NET senior developer and a book author. So welcome, Fiodar.
Hello.
So thanks for coming. What's your story to being here?
I've got a fairly interesting story. I'm a senior software engineer. I joined Microsoft. Prior to that, I was working for a California-based fintech, which is quite an interesting position because I'm myself based just outside London. And the rest of my team, like everybody, was based either in the US or Australia, because that company was created by people who originally came from Australia and they migrated to the US and they founded a fintech company there. But I don't actually come from software engineering background. I studied to be a biologist or environmental scientist. So basically, my initial bachelor's degree was in environmental biology, and then I did a course called environmental science. And initially, I spent in that field as well. I was working as a flood risk analyst for one of the UK engineering firms. And then I just happened to kind of gradually teach myself how to code. And since then, I've been working as a software engineer. Since recently, or since about maybe 4, I've been doing some helpful content for other people to learn coding. And I wrote a couple of books as well.
So, regarding this, because perspective, you may have those mentees that are very focused on, or in other, mainly maybe on .NET. How do you approach your mentoring for these projects, and how do you tend to handle your mentees?
It depends what level my mentees are and what the specific requirements are. The majority of mentees that approach me in a specific part of .NET called ASP.NET Core, which is the main web application development platform on .NET. What I tend to do is assess their level, have like a step-by-step process to every developer. But overall, I have this kind of a set of lessons and challenges that I give them. So in my experience, since I've written a couple of books, a couple of people, learning is not about memorization, which a lot of people get it wrong. A lot of people try to learn something just by reading. You will never be able to do it, because as soon as you put that book down or you put that online document, if you don't use it, you'll forget it. Maybe if you're one of those rare people who has photographic memory, maybe you won't. But for 99% of us, we will. So to learn something properly, you have to practice it. And learning is all about building new associations. It's kind of adding associations to some existing knowledge that you have in your brain. So what I tend to do is go through various exercises, people. And I tailor-made certain exercises that basically kind of help you to learn ASP.NET Core step by step. So the very first exercise that I give them is I'll ask them to set up 2 project plays in code editor. One of them is just like a completely empty web application, and another one is similar type of web application. It's like REST API, but it has some very, very basic services added to it. And then what I ask them to do is do their own research and figure out the differences, and try to turn that empty application into functionally equivalent to the basic REST API application. That's going to be the first challenge. .NET Project Structure, .NET Startup, how methods get involved, job code execution. It's the process that developers would take in hours, because if you have to implement some solution in your day-to-day job, what you will do is go to Google and research that, find some documentation, maybe ask some questions on Stack Overflow, ChatGPT these days as well. Maybe it's going to be Devin soon with its new AI. thing that everybody's talking about. And basically, for majority of people it works. Mentees for whom it didn't work as well, but for majority of people it does. And then after that, I've got a further collection of projects. Like a basic template just allows them to build kind of to-do app. But what I tend to ask people is, what kind of software interests you? And then I try to kind of tailor-make exercises to fit that. For one person, online school. For another person, it's going to be online shop. Those kind of things. If they don't have any, if they can't think of anything, because not everybody has good imagination, I just kind of give them a to-do app to make. Because to-do app has all the CRUD operations. It has read to-do list, examine your individual to-do item, delete to-do item, modify to-do item. So it's a good starting point to build a proper REST API. Then the next exercise is to add database and object read. The next exercise is to add user interface to it, and so on. I will basically continue until we come up with a distributed application that all uses OpenID Connect and OAuth authentication.
That's quite some project, though. Starting from scratch, having an outline of an application and being able to build a full, deployable with authenticated users.
Yeah, is that, well, A, not everybody reaches that. B, sometimes it's different because some people may not want to learn how to build UIs, for example. Maybe they just want to be like backend engineers. C, it kind of sounds easy because to explain it, but it may actually take months to do it for an individual mentee.
Took some time to be able to prepare that kind of a structure.
I think it actually came naturally because what I started making stuff up as I go along, just talking to individual mentees and trying to assess what would be the best thing to implement with that particular mentee. And then I kind of started seeing patterns because a lot of people were asking me similar kind of questions. And this is how I figured out this particular set of steps. I have documented those set of steps in one of the articles that I've written on my website as well.
We will set the link on the and everywhere. We will put another relevant links there. But yeah, that's a very valuable resource to check because I feel like sometimes mentors start to do very customized exercises, and then you have a pattern to learn, and then you can adapt to the mentee if needed. Having like an initial structure to look at and to say, okay, this is the base. That this is a type of mentee that can fit to that, it's great because it will make the project grow bigger and better, and you will reduce the amount of workload that you will have on your end to provide value to the mentee.
With some I probably enjoy the most. They already have a kind of a soft build, not just as an exercise, but potentially as some kind of MVP, maybe to use this product, or maybe just enjoying building that kind of thing. Maybe they want to open source it. Yeah, with those kind of mentees, it's the most enjoyable because I know that in a way together it's going to be used by people.
Yeah, and also you see that they are more passionate because it's theirs. So, and also having like this project in the backlog, it allows you to just drag and drop components to it, because for example they have a .NET e-commerce app and they want the authentication put in, then you just copy the module and they tell, okay, you have a basic here, you can put all out this way, and help them, guide them through an existing project that doesn't need to be exactly the same that what they want to do. So exactly. that's very struggling with different people, different all of that. You centralize all of it in a flexible a project that could grow, and then from that help other people.
You still have to apply tailored solution to every mentee because all mentees are different. Course. But it's much easier to do that if you already have a frame in place. You can just adapt that individual piece of the framework. But you won't have this brain block when mentee is facing you, he's asking for advice, you just don't know what to tell them.
Yeah, and especially that point, it's more, I think that would be flawless for both the mentor and the mentee, having something to start with. If it fits the mentorship, it will push, and it will start from scratch rolling down to a much more higher speed, because I think that the beginning is like, okay, we meet each other, blah blah blah, and then up until it gets working, you are not providing value to the mentee itself. Like you could be teaching or communicating, but up until you have like a project set up, so he or she can work. That's but I think making it's very valuable. So you mentioned also on the like the resources that you said about the building the project. So you mentioned also as well that you wrote a couple of books, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
On that point, when did you and how were you able to write your first book?
Right. So it's actually quite an interesting topic. I like talking about it. I would want to know this information as well. Because for me, writing a book on software was something that I thought only developers, the best of the best, ever do, because it kind of gives you this authority. What I started back in 2018. I started doing courses on Udemy, because Udemy allows anybody to create video courses on its platform. Then eventually, those courses themselves, because I started doing those courses for two reasons. A, if you have to explain the subject to somebody, it kind of forces you to, just subconsciously forces you to learn that subject in more depth. Because at work, if you just learn some library, you only learn it to a shallow extent, where it basically solves the problem in front of you. But if you have to explain, if you have to create a course on a particular library or framework or anything like that, then it kind of forces you to research that particular thing and learn it in depth. What started to happen, the second reason is I could make any side income bonus as well.
It always is.
So long story short, I never a company called Pact, which is a book publisher fairly well known in the IT industry. They saw some of my courses on Udemy, because I made maybe like 3 or 4 of them, and they offered me to. They used to have this book series where all the code samples are rated by somebody. So basically, somebody who buys the book, they can look through the code samples, and they also get a link, the book itself. They can click on the link. The page with all the videos, so somebody basically explaining those code samples, and they hired me for a couple of projects as that explains those samples from the book. I did some Docker ones, I did Postgres, various technologies. Eventually, in parallel to this, I used to write for a website called simpleprogrammer.com. Website used to accept guest posts. And then what happened kind of at the same time? First, Pact approached me, and they offered me to write a book about gRPC on .NET, which I said yes to. And then the guy who owned John Sonmez approached me and offered me to write a book about like software development mindset, habit formation, those kind of things. So I ended up writing 2 books at the same time. One on gRPC and the other one called Battle Hardened Developer book. It's a completely non-technical book, but it's the one that I took the most pleasure writing, because it talks about topics that are much more fundamental than any framework. It talks about mindset, it talks about habit formation, it talks about how social media can basically kill your dream, because focus is one of the resources that you have as a software engineer, and social media essentially competes with you for your focus. It takes your focus away from you. I ended up finishing. And then I was waiting for them both to be published. And I've been told it's going to take at least a couple of months, because they have designs, do some further proofreading, those kind of things. And then I decided to explore self-publishing options. And then I came across this website called LeanPub.com. In parallel to this, I also found Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. So basically those 2 platforms kind of allow you to write your own books. LeanPub was really great because, well, everything is written in Markdown. You can't upload file. The default format is Markdown. So essentially, the platform itself formats everything for you. You don't have to formatting. You don't have to worry about table of content matching the actual pages. All of this is done for you. It's same which that all developers are familiar with, because README on GitHub. They have the kind of their own flavor. They call it Markoa, but it's still it's still easy to figure out. But one of those things is that for a very small subscription fee, $10 per month, it gives you access to generate a print-ready PDF of your book. That print-ready PDF is something you can take and upload to Kindle Direct Publishing on Amazon, and this is how you can create your own print version of the book. It's basically print on demand. So this is how you can publish a print without owning it. I can show you some examples actually. Just give me a second.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a self-published book. It's about design patterns. That this is what I like. So all of this formatting, camera can capture it properly. But
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to take it.
no, but essentially it's like a proper book. So you
Yeah.
and basically all you pay for, you need to use. They only charge you printing costs if somebody orders your book. Maybe if software development book costs $20, $30, then they charge maybe like $5 per print. You still get far more in terms of money that you keep compared to going with the official publishing house. Because with publishing house, you only keep between 10 to 20% of your commissions. LeanPub gives you 80% of the price as your commissions. You only keep like small percentage of it. Amazon, they give you slightly less, but you still end up
Yeah.
Book themselves, self are much easier to write than books written by publishing houses for many different reasons. One of those reasons that if you write for a publisher, you have to go through a very long cycle for everything because it has to be reviewed, it has to be approved, it has to be technically reviewed, and so on. As a self-published author, it's up to you how you do it. You can, of course, hire other reviewers as well. But with tools like Grammarly, for example, it's much easier. You don't really have to hire when you have Grammarly.
Yeah, it's your AI, your AI steroid editor, so it's
Exactly.
doing the job.
So my first self-published book took me from 0 to publication 2 months.
You are a fast writer. You know, the bagging of editors and stuff for a book is quite some, and especially when you said like you were doing all these things in parallel.
It happened after I finished those books, and I was kind of just twiddling my thumbs, what to do next. So at that time, the book was the only thing I did on top of my job.
Yeah, then I was totally surprised, like, okay, this guy did it in 2 months, even though we've done that all in parallel, but no, yeah, you definitely have some skill and some speed for the writing itself. So all started from the courses, or did you had, the pen to write beforehand?
I kind of always wanted to write a book. I just imagined kind of blocker in my head. I always imagined myself not to be good enough as a book author, as many people do.
Yeah, tends to happen with everything.
Maybe a question that some of your viewers will have: how much did I make from those books? Maybe not as much directly, but the other benefits that I cannot from the books themselves, from just soft ones, maybe years, something around $5,000. Most of it came at the beginning because I was actively promoting. I can't doing that anymore as much. But those books unlocked so many good opportunities because at the beginning, as a book author, you are immediately an authority. So I got my Microsoft MVP. For those who don't know an award, I'll show you this thing, basically.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If you are impactful in terms of your blogging, writing videos, if you talk about soft technologies and people read your stuff, an existing Microsoft MVP or a Microsoft employee get MVP award. Yeah, I can't be an MVP anymore because I work for Microsoft.
Yeah, you've been one.
So it is. It's essentially something. Then the previous situation that I described to you with my previous employer, I was the only UK-based employee. It was a very unique opportunity. I got found by the VP of engineering because I posted a picture of myself holding one of my books. And he wrote to me out of the blue, yeah, we need people like you. Would have never happened. Had so many technical interviews where I skipped the technical task and just asked me some basic questions as a box ticking exercise, and they said, yeah, we know you can code, you wrote some books. And I have this part-time gig where I create a white label course, so essentially I work on for various platforms, on bootcamp, some online academies, create software development stuff. And they all found me because of my books.
Yeah, so it's like in terms of the money that they generate by themselves, the amount of exposure, and also the type of exposure, because you see a guy publish on LeanPub, and also on Kindle you have your review on a very specific topic like the .NET book, and also on a more mindset, soft skill type of book, which means you are like not just only on the technical side, but also on the way that things works, which can be applied into all orgs by themselves. So like independent of the language that you code, the project that you are, very, very specific. So that's very, very interesting. And I think if, someone is looking or thinking about publishing a book on coding or on whatever, they will be probably encouraged by your story. And also I feel like, you get your goals by without the courses, starting recording your videos and stuff. You could be able to be exposed to that people. Without that exposure to the pack people, you couldn't have about maybe I can self-publish a book by myself and I can write a book in 2 months. So it tells the story of step up, and because people tend to look at the goal. Okay, so this guy has published 2 books. How the he done it? And then you see all the story it can come from 2 months. Okay, I will write a book. No, it comes from I start doing courses. I improve myself doing courses, then I got reach out, then I start doing a book, then the drafts may or may not come well, then I say, okay, I will go on my own. So that everything has a story behind it.
Exactly, yes. In theory, nothing would have stopped me right away and writing something. But if I didn't start with Udemy, if I didn't start step by step, I wouldn't even have thought about doing that. It was just completely outside of my awareness field.
Mm-hmm.
It was only because I kind of written 2 books. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it would have been. Where I decided to explore doing it on my own without relying on a publisher, and how difficult would that be? What kind of made me try LeanPub? There was inspiration. I can't remember the name of the guy, but he wrote a very, very famous book about Ansible, which is the DevOps infrastructure language. He's consistently top 10 on LeanPub. Most of the time you go there and it's in the top 10. And that article about LeanPub, very, very detailed article. One thing that LeanPub allows you to do is allows you to publish a book before it's ready. You can just specify your book is 20% ready, and $1,000 before his book was ready, just from the sales of that particular book.
That's also with drafts, even a draft or a draft, but a pre-done can even earn that. After all, if you see those articles that get on the internet that have been there for ages, for example, on I can recall the Chris Richards microservices have been there for ages, and they are still the top visited places, the top sell book on microservices, Salmon as well, and it's been there for I would say it will be close to 10 years. So you see that if people build things, and especially when they are not technology focused, more on the paradigms and the frameworks and that stuff, they can sell whatever they want. They are totally bestsellers on their own.
So LeanPub kind of runs this paradigm. They call it book because essentially to update and publish a book takes literally clicking a button.
Especially if you are in I didn't know that you can do it in Markdown, but for most developers that would be a savior.
if you found a typo in the book, or if there's some piece of code that somebody told you, that piece of code on page 5 it doesn't work, all you have to do is just go there, fix that thing in Markdown, and press to be republished right away, and it's going to be generated in a PDF, EPUB, and these to the Kindle format. Essentially, when you buy a book from LeanPub, you are gaining access to all these updates as well. Author decides to create new edition just by modifying the existing one, you will get that new edition automatically. It's like a piece of software like a piece of evergreen software.
It sounds like that this has been oriented to technical people, people that knows that the process could be much better or document.
Yeah, definitely.
So
the only massive disadvantage of Markdown editor is that it does not work with tools like Grammarly. So what I tend to do is write my initial content in Google Doc, copy and paste it.
Yeah, always comes to
yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, like, for people, mentoring, so people that are mentoring, but also getting and you have explored this content type of path, so creating your own blog, YouTube videos and stuff. what type of what advice would you give to people that are thinking about creating content online, either written or another format like video now with TikTok and that stuff, able to provide value? So which advice would you give them?
The first advice is don't be your first couple of pieces of content are probably gonna suck. Happens to all of us. Don't be afraid of that. You have to go through this stage, and nobody cares, to be honest. The content that sucks is just not gonna attract any readers. It's not like people are gonna ridicule you. Nobody's gonna ridicule you, so you've got nothing to fear. It's gonna be like a learning experience. So first of all, if you start posting, then it's gonna be kind of you are going to be psychologically get your content being exposed to so many people potentially, and if you kind of draw a particular article that you wrote, more viewers this ones, what did you do in that particular article that was different from what you did before? Because when I started content, because I used to have this website as well, which was probably since around the same time I started doing courses. If I look back at it, at that beginning, no knew who I didn't have many followers and so. But still, occasionally, some of my articles would just shoot up, kind of go semi-viral.
Yeah, that's totally, the match. Like your first thing is going to probably, be bad in terms of, the code that the first text or the first blog that you created. If you don't have like a helper like Grammarly and stuff, and even there, it's suck. And then only after the 1,000th time and the 100th time would be better. All of that, and you need to start somewhere. And the first version is going to be the worst. So like, for example, when I started this podcast, the first time that I was about to record, it was like, what am I doing here? Hosting and talking to somebody that I know, doing kind of an interview. And I felt like if you think that I will be doing this 2 years from now, I will say, what? Yeah. So yeah, I feel like people should, remove their mm-hmm. because you don't have, if you think really, you don't have any tools most of the time.
You don't have anything to lose. Maybe what will help, if you kind of think of it as a vehicle to try to earn income right away, mm-hmm. Then you're going to give up very soon, because it's just not going to. Yeah. You will need to get some experience in order to be able to do that. Think about it as learning experience. When I started doing Udemy, I did not think of them primarily as a vehicle to potentially earn me some income. I was thinking of them as a vehicle to help me learn the technology that I was teaching, and also improve my presentation skills. Learn how to my fear of camera, because I used to be very shy, and all of those things will benefit you in front of people. That's gonna make you more confident. That's gonna help you with your career, because as you mentioned, soft skills are just as important, if not more important, than technical skills. And in your day job, you will have to do presentations, you will have to do some proposals, you have to do all these things as well. So even if you don't succeed, and even if you decide eventually this kind of thing is not for you and you want to give up, you will still have benefited from it.
Yeah, I totally agree with the benefits that, a side project could be, recording videos or writing that in your life as a professional, because I feel like some developers focus too much on the technical skill and be on the technical side. But then after all, if your project is successful, you will be dealing with customers, you would be presentations to leadership, you would be dealing with promoting the project internally or externally. You would be dealing with all these, talking, identify product KPIs, or and having a side project you have to do on your end. You need to promote it, you need to write it, you need to explain about it, and you get like all the experience that you can help your team make the products much.
And a very popular misconception among software engineers is that I don't work in sales, I don't have to do any of that. Well, I've got bad news for you. You do have to do that, even if you're a software. As a software engineer, you have to sell yourself. You have to. You are basically selling. Life is about selling. You have to convince your boss to give you a raise. You have to convince a potential recruiting manager interviewing to give you. I'm not give it to somebody else. You have to convince your teammates to accept your project. Very often what happens is that it's not the best, it's not the amount proposal that wins, but it's the one that is presented by the person with the best communication skills.
And also that the one that provides more concise information and the most to identify the value is not the same as saying all the technical things in the world. I think that's a lot of confusion in the technical world, because you can say whatever technicalities, but if someone in leadership doesn't have the technical background that you expect, don't blame him or her.
Exactly.
It's you that you don't know how to show the value that your product is, because normally value is very simple. You either fix something, you either provide something, there is a problem and you solve it.
Yeah, exactly. You
Not
care
explain
about unit tests, those kind of things.
Yeah.
I see a lot of developers complaining on LinkedIn or some other forums that, oh, my manager won't allow me to write unit tests. Yeah, but it's your responsibility to convince your manager are important.
Yeah, you need to let people see the value in the things that you do. You don't have to do things because, like, okay, I will write anything. This is good.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's good now. Is good. How are you going to write it? How much time is going to take?
Yep.
Will remove time from a feature that is really important and it will provide. And also that, and this is a mindset that some people should change, is that the most complex things may not be the one that provide the most value of.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you because we tend to make this sometimes, especially when we are younger and we are like learning all this technical stuff, we have this tunnel vision of, okay, this is complex, oh, this is going to be the best feature ever, and then you say like nobody uses it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then something is 1 + 1, it's featured in your app. So regarding of this, since you have all content creation and now you are on the side, how has mentoring helped you in your career? I would like to perspective for someone that has already been, in the content creation and has been dealing with, courses, videos.
Yes.
What's the next step mentorship has given to you?
So mentorship was definitely useful, especially at the beginning when I started doing that. I haven't been doing face-to-face mentorship for very long. Started around December 2021, something like that. I still kind of do it, but not to such a big extent as I used to do it. The main reason why I don't do as much of it, I only have maybe 1 or 2 mentees at a time, is because I just simply don't have much time to do that, because I'm involved with those other things. Mentorship will be a vehicle that will build your soft skills very, very quickly. The reason for that is because you will get to work with mentees from a very diverse range of backgrounds. Some are very, very teachable, others are not so. People it takes a while to understand. You have to adapt your teaching methods as well. And that's what you will be doing with throughout your career as well, because throughout your career you will probably change companies, you will change teams. You may move to a different country, different city. You are kind of having this safe environment, because if you don't like person too much, you can always cancel it. It's not like he's not your boss that you're kind of forced to work with until you. Mentorship allows you to practice this, especially for me at the beginning of my mentorship career, when I've been basically spending the bulk of my free time either mentoring people or just giving them some asynchronous support by using various chats, doing code reviews, those kind of things.
Yeah, and I also believe make you able to deal with different profiles, how you handle, and it will be beneficial, when some juniors come to your job, in a more senior role, much more used to deal with them and how to teach them. You may have learned, tips from your mentorship about how to teach certain, and also certain profiles. You would identify more different profiles of people, so you can go to know how to display content, as you mentioned. It's very important how the content is displayed, how it's structured, so that it's understood by someone that is not you.
And another benefit of doing mentorship is that if you want to hire in your team, you basically just meet some people from across the world. So instead of going to recruiters to find somebody for you, you can just recommend somebody you already know, especially if you're working for an organization that is distributed and has people all over the world. Like for example, my previous employer was like that, and I did actually bring 2 of my ex-mentees to the company.
That's also a good resource without and reducing the expenditure and to find everyone. You say, okay, this guy worked.
Yeah,
it was good, and I think he or she has potential. We can land it.
exactly.
And it will be a 2-week process instead of a 2 month.
Yeah,
that's an awesome tip as well. Like, you find people that is really valuable and with the appropriate leadership could be a very good asset in your team. Awesome. Let the audience know what are you doing, where thank you. Yeah, floor is yours.
So you have to my newsletter, which I request to release every day. It's called Fiodar Tech Insights. It's on Substack. You probably share a link in the description.
Yeah, sure.
I also have my website. It's called Scientific Programmer as one word. A YouTube channel, but I rarely go on, have as much time to film videos because they do take a while to edit. I prefer text-based format because text takes. I'm a quick writer essentially. I can write a lot of text in a short period of time. I prefer that. I prefer newsletter. I'm on LinkedIn. Maybe not as active as I was a couple of weeks ago because I'm still getting onboarded in the project in Microsoft. But I do write quite on LinkedIn. On X, from Twitter at the moment. In my opinion, that platform just went downhill. Algorithm just does not work the way, and I get some very, very strange people commenting on my stuff.
Elon stuff. Anywhere else we can?
Those places. I do have Facebook accounts, but I'm rarely on it.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is the website where I'm using pretty much every day, posting stuff.
Yeah, I can find something that you share there, and it's very, very good post that you can read out because you an experienced writer, so you know how to write. Not like damn, it's very good reflection on. So Fiodar, thanks a lot for being on the podcast. It's been great. I think people have a lot about the content stuff and the mentoring stuff. It's been great talking to you.
Likewise, my pleasure.